What is going on, Gary? It is August 8th, 2024. How are we doing?
Dude, I'm doing awesome. There's so much cool stuff going on. How's my sound? I'm getting a little bit of a backlash.
I hear you fine and good. No echo, no nothing.
Microphones are impossible to deal with. I'm doing great, dude. I haven't gotten much sleep this week. And by the way, you guys do not have to remind me that I look 30 years older than my brother. It's starting to irritate the shit out of me. I don't do the Botox. I don't go to the fucking makeup artist every day. So quit fucking with me, okay? I get 4 hours of sleep, mostly. And I'm sorry, I don't look like a movie star or an Instagram pop-up queen.
Normally when people comment on one's appearance, it's because they're jealous. And so that's the only thing that they're doing is they're hating on you because you're better looking than they are.
I don't know where their parents stop educating them or beating them, because I just don't even understand it. Why would you think, right? It would be productive to go, guy spends 20 minutes on a video trying to educate people, and then he looks like a fucking crackhead. By the way, I've tried cocaine. I hate it. Okay. It does nothing for me.
It'll only get worse because people love nothing more than to just be negative online.
Yeah. Well, I know you had a title in here.
So I wanted to talk to you about two topics that I thought would be fun, but we can talk about anything. But I just wanted to briefly touch on them, and I'll share my screen real quick if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Do you see me sharing my screen? Do you want to pop it up on stage real quick for me?
There we go.
So I wanted two thoughts from you. One, there's been a big deal that has been hyping up and kind of creating division within the crypto Bitcoin community. It's that, believe it or not, Kamala Harris and some of her proxies, Mark Cuban being one of them, are hosting a Crypto for Harris virtual town hall. Can you believe that? It started from a Twitter account that I think had roughly 900 followers. And it was no coincidence that this is about a week or two after Donald Trump spoke at the Bitcoin Nashville conference. So I've noticed on the back end that there's been a lot of people in crypto who have never really liked Donald Trump, don't want to support them. And now we're trying to convince, because really this is aimed toward the crypto audience. This is not convincing Kamala Harris to be pro-crypto. This is the Kamala Harris campaign essentially telling people in crypto and Bitcoin why they should feel safe voting for her. So I just wanted your thoughts on that. Do you think you can really trust someone? Do you think you can really trust Harris after all that she's done in the crypto community? Because that's kind of one of the big issues, isn't it? So just wanted to hear what you had to think.
Well, I think it's a little too late, too little, too late. And look, the truth is, this is the way I handle this issue. You guys in Bitcoin didn't give enough money to Kennedy, and you're probably not going to give enough money to Biden. Like, you guys need to, I don't know why these people that are deep, big Bitcoin whales are supporting this group, because they've done nothing to help this group. And having a town hall meeting, does that really establish a decision? I just think it's so late and lame. I mean, the woman's been in office for what? She hadn't even has she even given a speech to any newscasters or the world about who she is, what she stands for. Like seriously, okay? Like Bitcoin should not be the issue right now. She should actually get out in front of the world and give her pitch why she's the best. So to me, this is why I didn't really want to do the topic. I want to get back to Bitcoin. I want to get back to Putin. There's a lot going on well beyond whoever this lady is, who has, by the way, I have just not seen a track record of anything. So, I mean, I'm already here and there looking at, replacing Tim Waltz. So to me, this is too late, too little. Cuban could have done this before. He just doesn't like Trump, and I don't really get it. I have not seen this administration do anything positive for the industry, for the digital asset industry. In fact, I would say that Sam Bankman-Fried was an absolute plant. Someone put him there to really fuck up the market, allow them to then come in and take total control, stick a probe up Celsius's up Binance. They put Binance guy away. They cleaned up the space. Now they have access to every piece of information, and that is thanks to the current government. And it's not about Kamala or the old man. Somebody else is running the show. Let's be honest. So until I know who's running the show, I couldn't possibly bet that Cuban or Scaramucci or any of the other guys could actually convince someone that they're going to change policy. 90 days before an election? So
yeah.
Shit, man.
The Putin news that you
Remember that
saw.
one?
Yeah. Yes, I do. The Putin news that you saw, was it about legalizing cryptocurrency mining in Russia? Because I saw that.
Yeah, dude. As I've been saying, we blew up 2 pipelines, kind of woke them up to that they do not have access to the market. We can interrupt and will interrupt their access to a market. We'll also remove from our allies in Europe the ability to buy the cheapest fossil fuel on the planet. Like the amount of treason and betrayal and terrorism that's occurred here in the last couple of years, dude. This pipeline thing is a big deal that no one talks about. And it did not happen by 2 Norwegian fishermen smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden 2 pipes blew up 90 meters underwater.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Putin's come around. Hey, we're going to make it legal to mine. And guess what? They have zero cost energy, literally zero cost energy. And once they ramp this up, dude, they don't even have a cost of capital, really. So it's game on, dude. We're here. And I think if I can show my screen, I think that is why God, all these things I have to add. Let's see. How do I add share screen? Blah, 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 blah. 1%. I think that's why this is happening right here. Okay, we're up $3,500 today.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Now check this out. While we're talking about miners.
Is this?
Wait. Hang
What
tight.
timeline is this? Is this the day chart?
This is a 1 hour chart. Okay. So we start this morning about, we closed last night at 55. We're touching 60 G's right now. 59,706. Let's look at the rest of the complex. Okay. The S&P's up. In fact, I'll just shoot this out for everybody. S&P's up 2%. Dow Jones is up 1. Tesla is up 3. U.S. oil flat, just sitting there, $75. I think it stays here between 62 and 88, 89. Gold is up 1.5%. Gold has really poorly performed relative to, I think, Bitcoin and also the overall market. I would have thought gold and silver would have really moved. Silver's off its 32 price. Ethereum's looks like Ethereum's just going to blow out. 9%. Nvidia's up 5. Right. All the miners are just exploding, including iron, by the way. Solana, I keep watching Solana. man, it's up 12%. It seems to lead the way. Okay. Remember, Bitcoin's up 8% and Solana is up 12%. Wolf, which is probably one of the better miners, is up 13, 14% after a awful day yesterday. Check this chart out. Okay, check this out. You want to see volatility. This thing traded down to 274 and it's at 380 right now in a time period of literally 4 trading days. 4 trading days. Cypher up 13%. Iron up 12%. Iron has had a number of different challenges, and they've got a lawsuit hitting them on fraud, and also
Iron does, or who?
that they've been very transparent about. It's a review or DOJ question. I suspect we'll see more of that with the miners too, because their numbers bounce around a lot. But they also had an electricity trading blowout. This has been my concern about these miners trading energy. I know professional energy traders that have gone bust, much less a miner. I mean, I've known all companies that own the supply and they went bust. So, but iron's back up 12%. They just got, slaughtered here. Yesterday was a really rough day for them. 8 down to 674. I mean, these are monster spreads. This is a $1 move today on a $6 stock, right? I mean, it's impressive. Doge is up a little bit. Bunch of news and talk about payments. The price on Doge at about 9 cents was probably just bottomed out right to the bottom. BT, a miner, 298, up 12%. You can see the trend here, right? Bitfarms, the performer, dude. Friday, you could have bought it for $1.64. Now it's $2.29. Hive, they're about 5 or 6 exahash. I'm starting to learn the mining business. Up 11%. So you can see it over and over. MicroStrategy did a split 10 for 1 today. They were up 8%. So the whole complex has just exploded, man. Well outperforming the S&P here, up 1 or 2%. So
Philo Swami asked, did Core Scientific have earnings?
Let's just see. Here's Core right here. It's up. Oh, wow. Core's only up 2%. I don't know, Fib. If you got some input, happy send us something. I have not looked at their earnings report yet. What else? Oh, this little company here.
What's
this
the conclusion you're reaching to some of these members?
From some of these what?
From some of these numbers. Is the conclusion that of the news that we had earlier in the week and the dump really didn't matter much?
I think the dump
is this what a healthy market looks like?
I think the dump was a liquidity dump, dude. And we're going to see this happen with Bitcoin probably maybe up to 3 times a year, where you have global events, whether they happen on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Why is the viewing thing so low? See, this is the second time. There must be something going on, dude. I think you're going to see Bitcoin trade like this. This is Bitcoin's one of its great characteristics. If you can just wait for problematic global events where people have to find liquidity, they will always go to Bitcoin first. You put me together with this guy yesterday, Legacy TradFi guy. Was that 7x7 or?
Yes.
And he I didn't, you set me up with these, and I don't really do a lot of due diligence beforehand. He and I were talking. He's like, hey man, I've been doing right before the show. He's like, I've never been able to get my head around Bitcoin. And I was like, oh wow, here we go. Dude, we have a live show of
Perfect talking point.
What?
Perfect talking point.
Well, no, actually I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna turn you on live TV. And literally, dude, the guy at the end of it was like, Okay, you have absolutely compelled me to look at this. What he told me was, he said, hey, I looked at it at 16, 17, 18, and 19, and the communication on it was so bad. And that's really good for me to hear, that more people walked away because of the way it was sold to them. And then they hear it sold a different way, and they're like, whoa, that is cool, man. I mean, this guy's in bonds, right? But he clearly had not had anyone communicate to him in a different way. So it's going to be a really good interview, because I think I turned the guy. He just moved to St. Pete, so we're going to have lunch. I'll have him into 10 Bitcoin before the end of September. So yeah, I think, and why do I bring that story up? I think there's a lot of people like that, dude. This has been sold not well. I mean, it's really like, and so I think that's what we're seeing in price. I think we're seeing everything move back. Nothing has changed for Bitcoin's thesis at all. In fact, today, what do we got? We got Bitcoin up 8%. Today, I would say that you just opened up a brand new market. Like, we just heard the president of Russia make it legal to mine Bitcoin, when yesterday it wasn't. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, by the way, United States government and all you oil producers, his cost is zero, dude. Okay. And we blew pipes up on the fucker. Okay. We blew pipes up, stranded a bunch of natural gas that's priced at zero. The cheapest natural gas hitting Europe just got terminated a year ago, and it's probably looking for a little home. He's selling it to India for a 30% discount off the damn Brent market. So why would he sell to India? India is the biggest benefactor from embargoes and sanctions by the United States, right? Because they do workarounds. Russia will sell it to Billy Bob's trading company in Singapore, and Singapore will then flip it over to India because there's no embargo on Singapore. Maybe that's not the way the deals work, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a barrel of oil stop through a sanction or an embargo. Not a barrel.
It just changes.
It just changes price, dude. No, it just changes price. That's it. That's it. You just pay people enough money and they will take it. ISIS was stealing all those barrels, right? Going into refiners and blowing up refiners and stealing the barrels and selling them on the black market. You cannot buy from ISIS. Really? Well, at a $30 discount, everybody's a buyer, right? And you just start doing paper deals and shell companies and manufacturing agreements. But you never stop. And that's why these sanctions are ridiculous, okay? Now notice the way that, and I could be wrong about this, and I'm sure I'll get beat up, but I didn't see Trump doing sanctions. I saw him saying, hey, if you're going to charge me 17%, I'm going to charge you 17%. Now, maybe we did some sanctions. I'm not saying he was perfect, but sanctions and embargoes, dude, don't work, and you should not mess with supply chains. I believe most of the inflation that came out of COVID was directly related to political intervention causing supply shocks around the planet. And COVID was a monster one. And then you had to un-COVID. So you then have another supply shock. Oh, how do we get everything back? Like me, I moved everything to an $8 million home, lost my lease for 5 years on 27,000 square feet office building because the government told me I couldn't go, man. I can't go to my office. I have to stay at home. Everybody has to wear a mask. I got to do all this shit. So I go buy $8.5 million home and go, hey, I have to take care of my family and all my businesses. I've put Ethernet, internet in here, man. I got backup cable generators now. Now they want me to go back to work. I'm like, fuck that, dude. I'm not going back now. All the cost of me living here now and working here is going to get offset by income.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of people that do this. That top 10% that go, gosh, Oh, by the way, they also wouldn't allow my children to go to school. But if I don't send them to school today, when the schools are open, I go to jail. So I even built, had a house big enough to build a schoolroom because I'm like, shit, no, there's no guarantees that school is going to be available. So that is a supply shock. It changed demand. It changed pricing, logistics. Now, what else did we do? 2 years later, we have, COVID ends and the Ukraine war pops up 12 hours later, like on a schedule, man. Within how many months that the Ukraine event's going on? Maybe less than a year.
Yeah.
2 major pipelines are blown up. The cheapest natural gas in the world delivered to Europe is from Russia. So we disrupted their supply. I think it was in August or October, 3 or 4 months before winter, which is like, it escalated prices by 4x, dude. Power prices went into the thousands per megawatt, and they bankrupt the utilities, and no one's even talking about how bankrupt the utilities in Europe are. So I think every time we keep fucking with this is before you introduce weapons that kill people, kinetic weapons. Every time we start messing with supply chains, it creates price, all kind of price amplifications in the market, either on the supply side or on the demand side. In Europe's case, they had to triple the price of the energy to get any. In the case of the supply, you've effectively trapped a couple billion cubic feet a day into Russia that now has an option to use Bitcoin as a refining solution. They can literally just stick. You have driven them to this decision. It doesn't even require me to consult to them. You stick $100 million worth of data centers that you'll own, or I can bring all that shit into Russia tomorrow morning, dude. Tomorrow morning, we can bring $100 million worth, 200,000 ASICs, okay? Even if they're not as greatly performing as the current ASICs, their energy is zero. And they have volumes of it. So they moved into the mining business. And this is awesome because even if Kamala Harris wins, which will be scary for this country, dude, we're going to do mining in the United States. Okay. We're not going to be competitive, but we're going to do it because everyone else is doing it. So she'll come around. Sadly, she'll come around late. Trump understands this game. It's not going to be difficult to walk Trump through the game theory, much less the economics of this. So I think that's why you're seeing.
Do you think Putin moved on this decision today because of Trump's comments on Bitcoin? I mean, I know it makes sense with the pipelines blowing up, but I'm almost surprised that he didn't do this sooner.
Well, this is, the Chinese did it a day later after him. They're starting to relax the rules because I think they know. Somebody's saying that I'm cutting in and out. Is that true?
Not for me, you're not.
I think they know that. Look, I think it's taken some time to study this, but I don't think that we should underestimate that Trump is the one that walked out on stage in front of the world and said, when I win, we will not sell the 213,000 Bitcoin, which is essentially saying I'm putting it on the reserve. He then went further to talk about the reserve. He talked about the benefits of mining to this country. He talked about self-custody and no CBDCs. 12 hours later, Putin goes on the Wall Street Journal and every other major news article. I can show you 40 of them right now. Hey, we're into it. Okay. And now a week later, 2 weeks later, he formalizes it. He doesn't need to do this, dude. He has a war with Ukraine right now, and he's talking about Bitcoin mining. That's pretty significant, in my opinion. Why would he do that? And then China does it. So this is just game theory spinning up now. So absolutely, who's the greatest catalyst that you've ever known in your lifetime? It's Donald Trump,
Catalyst
dude.
for what?
Like,
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
a catalyst, dude. Everywhere he goes, he's just a fucking catalyst. We can argue. The Craftston brothers or whoever those idiots are, like, come argue with me, but you cannot argue that he is a master catalyst.
Yeah.
For some reason, he has a very unique, almost magnetism that just, spins up a fucking ton of energy. And speaking of energy, I just want to remind everyone, I've been doing business a long time. I've never seen an industry like Bitcoin that has so much gravity. Everything just gets pulled into Bitcoin. If you notice very carefully, people, even the politicians, dude, they're not running to Bitcoin. They're being pulled in, just like it's going to consume so much. I mean, just the topics it generates. You would not think that a guy at war with two countries, really, the major company, the United States, under the surrogate of Ukraine, would be talking about the mining business. Like really, that's a big
Yeah.
deal. Okay. Like when you think about it, like, well, it's not really, I don't hear Kamala talking about it. Kamala can't even get in front of a camera to do an interview. And you have Putin sitting there waging his right as he understands it for his nation, trying to do what he thinks is right. And he still has a little time to talk about Bitcoin mining. TikTok, dude. TikTok. This is why I bought Bitcoin. Once you understand game theory and you understand these people, whether they're rich people, super rich, or whether they're sovereigns, they're going to look for solutions that allow them to be more competitive than others. I mean, this is human nature, man. It's the way the game is set up to compete and do better. The sad thing is the world's acting like everything's finite. And every time we do this shit, these embargoes, it actually does create a finite situation because you're cardoning off markets instead of opening them wide open for free markets to reign. Chase price, right? People go, hey, everybody's chasing profits. You know why they do that? That's the way markets work. You want me to chase profits and make money because what I do, everybody follows. And then guess what? All the profits go because that industry becomes efficient. And then I move to another industry and go, oh, look at all these profits, dude. I go in, that market gets very efficient. All the margin goes away. That is very healthy. If you do this on scale, guess what happens? People aren't overpaying for stuff. Like the market becomes really transparent. There aren't any 32% margins, right? But there's massive volume. It's a very different world. It's a different way to look at the world. And this is why the service guys, the banks and the oil companies, people that are public, companies that are public, really don't like margin compression because for a year or two, every quarter, they got to go, hey, our margins are compressing. And their 22-year analyst goes, yes, so are your competitors. Your industry is dead. We're going to crush your multiple. Bye-bye. See you later. And that's why I love being private. Because I can just watch these big boys with their public shares, and I don't have to make money next month, dude. Nobody's going to leave me if I don't make money next month or next year. I decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to take all the money that we're making. I'm going to reinvest it so that we can be 5 times bigger in the following year. That's a good trade, dude. That's the right way to build something instead of, I've got to impress a 22-year-old. My earnings must go up. Okay, I made $1 last month. Now I need to make $1.01, including walking out in the street and getting hit by a fucking car to make $1.01, just to add that penny. This is what many companies do. They literally go get a consulting deal, dude, so you can make 10 grand and we can show it up. Instead of just admitting, I'm not chasing the dollar. Stay on point. Keep going. There's the goal. Don't start stopping at every little door looking for a nickel. when your final goal is 3 years out, it's like, oh, it's a monster bucket of gold down there. If you're stopping in every little alleyway to pick up some shit, it's like you'll never get there. And that's what being public really requires you to do. And then you got to borrow money, and then you got, like, it's just a rat race that you can't get off of.
Going back to energy, I actually had a question for you. While you were trading and while you were at Dynergy, did you have to change anything that you were doing on the day-to-day because of sanctions at the current time? Like, did you actually have a personal experience with the U.S. government, oil embargoes and sanctions at the time while you were there?
No, they like none of that stuff bothers a trader, man.
Because you just move. You just go, okay, can't trade there anymore. Time to get it from somewhere else. Like, it's like an instant switch.
Yeah, but people get cut up. For instance, when the pipes blew out, when the pipelines were terrorized and terminated by someone that no one is actually even trying to discover who it was. Like, seriously, one of the greatest terror acts in history, man. Okay, you put the entire continent of Europe at risk. No one is asking questions. That and about 40 other questions that aren't being asked. These are the concerning things for a trader, dude. When I see that much dark, opaque shit, I'm like, fuck, I don't even know if I can trade anywhere without, like, hey, what the hell's going on? Because let me tell you what happened. There have been people that have been trading the nat gas US spread and the UK nat gas spread. So let's say that nat gas in the United States is trading at 250. Nat gas in Europe, in London, would trade at maybe $4, and they just traded this spread forever. They would be long in the United States, and they would sell UK. Fucking, it's called a dirty hedge, okay?
A dirty hedge?
A dirty hedge means that there's just this peg, this disconnect, just like Tether and Bitcoin, right? And this peg stayed there forever and ever and ever until two pipelines blew up. Then that spread that had been there for 10 years, bro, that spread went from like $1 to 100. So guess what happens? Everybody that was doing that trade got ripped into shreds. Now their whole trading book stops because they're trying to fix a problem. And this is what happens in these markets when they get lazy. They just get consistent until you have an event like this, a geopolitical event. This is the stuff a trader cannot prevent. XRP Ripple solving the legal case last night. No one was expecting that. Bang, you get a 20% move on the price. Can you imagine if it had been the other way?
Yeah.
So most traders are not really impacted by change. You got to remember what we were doing. I was influencing the regulatory change. I was actually pushing it, pushing the regulatory shifts so that people like me it would be a fair, balanced place for a guy like me to play, or a company that I was representing to play.
When you're saying pushing the regulatory change, like, were you talking to politicians at that time, or what were you doing?
I probably spent, well, I wasn't talking to politicians. I was talking to the people that the politicians reported to that were going to actually do the work. The academics, like I had a relationship with the head of Ofgem and Ofgas, Office of Electricity and Office of Gas,
federal
for
offices,
Her Majesty's Secret Service or whatever, right? Whatever that whole thing is. That group worked for Blair. I never met Blair. I never had a need to meet Blair. I'm glad I didn't. Like I just needed Eileen Marshall and her crew, the guys that were actually getting change, the people that are talking to all the other, and her boss. Her boss' name was McCarthy. Never forget, I had lunch with McCarthy. He was the head of he was the energy regulator, and he gets in the office. I said, I'd love to buy you lunch sometimes. We sit down after about 9 months in his office. You got to remember, I'm in London. I'm like I am. I got this funny accent, a little rough around the edges. He shows up. Now he's met with every prime minister. He's met with cabinets. He's met with other energy ministers. And he's met with every nuclear power CEO and every oil company there. And then there's me. He shows up. We're having lunch. We're talking, getting to know each other. He said, "Let me ask you a question, Gary. Do you write your own letters?" And I was like, "Oh my God." Now remember, dude, I'm a C student. Okay, gave zero attention to English, much less any of the other schooling that I was given. I sit there and go, "Oh my God, I am so embarrassed." I said, Callum McCarthy was his name. I said, "Callum, yeah, I do. I'm so embarrassed. Yes, I do write my own letters. I find that it's easier for me to communicate that just flat out." He's like, "Your letters are the only letters I understand." I was stunned, dude. He said, "Dude, I get shit from the nuclear blah, blah." He's like, "They got graphs, formulas, models." He said, "Yours is just like, bro, if you want a market to work, you got to open a market up, just really basic stuff." But it's so funny. I've just really stayed very true to my own belief system. And I, even though I was terrified he was going to go, "Yeah, you're an idiot." It panned out pretty well. And it told me something like, you don't have to be overly complicated with these people. And in fact, the politicians, they don't want to know all this stuff. They want to know, what is the problem? And do you have a fucking solution? And if you don't have a solution, don't bring me another problem. So I don't need to explain rockets to Trump. I need to say one thing. There's 2 to 3 million jobs, man. You want them or not? They can go into Singapore, they can go into Dubai, but they could also be right here. $250,000 probably a year average. Careers, man. It's the best-selling pitch for Bitcoin. There isn't anybody in Bitcoin that will tell me that's not the best pitch they've ever heard. And it's true. It's so true. But we never pitch it that way. We go, we're going to break the Fed's back. And I think that's probably not the best way to pitch it. We have now countries far larger and far significant than El Salvador putting Bitcoin in a position where they're either going to mine it. Once you mine it, dude, you're going to put it on your reserve. This is really significant. What you've known me for a little bit, but there's some people that have known me for 4 or 5 years here. I've been saying all along, all the mining ends up in places like Russia, right back on the wellhead. And America really doesn't have a lot of time on this trade. The energy players don't have the nuclear power guys probably have a little bit of time, but I think actually the nukes are going to move in front of the fossil fuel guys, which is really amazing. Right now, the major distribution into mining or into the power market is through the utilities, from what I can understand. And that makes sense to me. That would be stage one. But stage two would be go to the wellhead, go back to platforms. In fact, bypass all logistics, all tariff, all taxes, all transportation issues. Learn from Russia. These pipelines can be blown up. Once you do that, you're like, oh, shit. Well, it's also inefficient for you to use the pipe for Bitcoin. You can stack refining right on top of a platform in the outback of nowhere for $100 million.
Does
$100 million bucks,
move...
$100 million bucks one-time capital payment. The way the economics would work is you look at that and go, wow, $100 million bucks. How much was it going to cost me to transport the same amount of gas? And over a period of time, is the time value the same? If I have to spend $1 to get natural gas to a $3 gas point, and I'm doing 500 million cubic feet a day, 500 million cubic feet a day times $1, you get you get payback on $100 million pretty quick. And no risk of logistics issues because you got Bitcoin. You just move it wherever the fuck you want, right? And it can't be sanctioned. And this is another thing the U.S. is going to have to deal with. Russia mines Bitcoin. Is it on the OFAC list? You need to dig into that, dude.
Oh, Russia
Okay,
is on the OFAC. Yeah,
what
they're
happens
saying,
when Iraq mines a Bitcoin?
well,
I can't buy that Bitcoin
about
from
dirty
them?
Bitcoin. Yeah, you know
I
about
can't
dirty
buy.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, can I not buy that Bitcoin from them? Because let me tell you something. America will get fucked with that policy. Okay, it's not going to work here. Ain't going to work. It is not going to work. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. We have to look at everything now. We're 9% of the world. What if the United States tomorrow said, you know what? If it ain't mine here, it ain't legal.
Yeah.
What happens? We are only 9% of the market, dude. What happens when 92% of the market doesn't like us? When we're just the little island like the UK, what happens when the government says, yeah, all those sanctioned countries? Like, this is a global market. You're not going to get away with that. Absolutely not going to get away with it. It actually concerns me. These are the policy issues we need to be thinking about. Hey, we're sanctioning shit we can't really enforce. And if we do enforce it, you're going to hurt the market for the Americans that are invested in that market, no one else. In fact, you'll probably drive the price up and other people will benefit from these type of draconian overreaches. You can't just keep saying, hey, that guy's a bad guy. Like, this is a global market, dude. And if you have a product that's a global commodity, you can't say, well, shit. By the way, notice how we started this conversation. Hey, all those barrels that are supposed to be embargoed, they didn't stop flowing. It never stops anything from flowing. It just gives someone else on the chessboard an advantage of cheap commodities. That's all that ever happens. So it's a real interesting conundrum here. Like, if you keep these sanctions up, you with me, man? Or you hypnotized here? I don't know what you're looking at. But if you're, you know what I'm saying? If you keep these here and coins are mined in the Ukraine, what's the rule on that? Like,
Well,
does it end up in a wallet or does it end up in Coinbase? If it ends up in a wallet 3 years from now, if that wallet is transferred to me, am I now a federal criminal?
If you notice, anytime we've talked to, well, maybe not anytime, but a lot of times when we talk to some of the miners on the calls we have, they always say clean Bitcoin. So it's like, oh yeah, a lot of the reasons people will invest in mining companies isn't even because of the investment, it's because they want clean Bitcoin. Which I think that's one of my biggest fears.
What if the U.S.
Actually,
government? What if the U.S. government says, "Hey, Gary, you're clean mining in Canada, and we don't like you anymore, so you're no longer clean. You're a dirty guy."
they
Right?
can.
What happens
Yeah.
though?
I think what would happen is the Bitcoin that you have mined are now put on a list, and you can't sell them in the American market or in any market that the US doesn't want you to sell them in.
Okay,
So
so
now
they sell it. They sell it to a Frenchman. The Frenchman then sells it to me.
the problem is that will still not be a clean Bitcoin, right? Because it has the track record. That's why people love buying Bitcoin directly from these miners. That's why the exchanges love buying Bitcoin directly from the miners, because it's literally mined, no record, they grab it. As opposed to
Once
we
it
could buy
gets into the
Bitcoin.
exchange, it's clean though. See, that's the little play that they're cleaning these once it gets into the exchange. But I'm talking about 92% of the world not giving a fuck about our sanctions.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's 92%. If it was 92%, hey, we're Bitcoin buyers. Okay, cool, but you're not. This is what I keep saying. The United States is never been here before. We've always been the big swinging dick in everything, dude. Oil, natural gas, electricity, commerce, food, energy, weapons. Okay. And it's because of the weapons that we're the big dog, but you don't control this one. And it's truly global. So I'm in Bangladesh and somebody gives me some Bitcoin because I did something for them. How the hell am I supposed to know that it was mined in Russia in 1999 or 2022? How do I know that? It's a commodity. So you can't do this. I mean, it's just, you can't make a separate, look, America has tried to prohibit many things. Not one example of it working. Not one example. 100% fail rate on prohibition.
Yeah.
And it won't work here. Dude, that was just one country. Prohibition doesn't work. We just got to sit down with Trump and go, bro, this just doesn't work. Okay. Like by the way, somebody's saying, hey, they're still selling natural gas. First off, they're still selling a lot less natural gas. If that's true too, how can a government say, hey, we're sanctioning oil, but we're not sanctioning other things? So now we're picking and choosing. These are not real sanctions. Okay. This is why they're stupid, absolutely stupid, and unfair. They're really unfair. There are literally some government intervening, and it does nothing. It's like a balloon with a bunch of water in it. You can push on it all you want. It just creates other issues.
I wanted to go back to one of your comments. You mentioned how nuclear is probably going to leapfrog fossil fuels. Is that because of what we talked about yesterday, where you can't turn off nuclear? Like, it's just always jolting the system. So Bitcoin mining is actually perfect for nuclear energy, because then they can divert it whenever you need, as opposed to fossil fuels. You can, quote unquote, shut down the pipeline or stop burning it or whatnot.
Well, fossil fuel, natural gas is the swing. It's called the swing load in the energy market. So a combined cycle station, it can go up and down, up and down. It actually works better at 80%, but it has to be more flexible because the nukes are straight out 1,000 units every hour of the hour. Unfortunately, you don't use your energy that way. You use it and then you don't use it. Power, wind and solar are intermittent and not dense. And locational. Got to remember, energy is locational, man. You can be long energy in California, but it's not doing you any good in Missouri.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can be really short in Canada and really long in Canada and really short in Texas. Good luck. You're going to get a big premium in Canada, but you're going to get a disc. It is very locational, which is why Bitcoin is so unique for an energy player. They take a location.
Just move to any location.
They take a location that is problematic and trapped. They push it into Bitcoin and they release that energy to be available for anywhere in the world in microseconds. Like, imagine taking 1 trillion units of energy that are trapped and then moving them to Hong Kong in 1 minute. Right? That's power, dude. That is unbelievable power. What I think people are misunderstanding is they think that the Bitcoin mining is with the fuel that's currently being sold. That is not what's going to happen. This is new energy mining, new Bitcoin, energy that is either trapped or not hitting the market or has never hit the market. Okay. It's the stuff that's all trapped. 25% of all the energy trapped behind the pipes, leaking, being flamed off, a whole set of issues that would trap energy either for long periods of time or for intermittent periods of time. Winter, summer, spring, off-peak periods, fall and April. It plays havoc on the grid because you're having, like I've seen weather temperature changes in Texas from below 30, below freezing to 70 degrees in the next 12 hours. I mean, like that's big load to handle, dude. Everyone's heating and then everyone's air conditioning in 12 hours. So to me, like when you think all of this through, I want to own a Bitcoin miner in Russia. That's where I want to own it.
Based off of our conversation yesterday, I started noticing more the things that I don't turn off, because when you were talking about energy mispriced because of how we can just leave things on, that stuck with me because I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I do take that for granted. And I wonder, like, and I actually thought, man, it would suck if energy was so expensive. I was constantly like having to make sure my computer was turned off or my lights, or actually like that was a worry of mine.
Yeah. Well, I had that same line with two very smart guys yesterday. They came from banking and we were going through it. He's like, yeah. I said, hey, bro, you know that we're moving to a use it as you go, right? I did my name is Klaus and we will rent everything and enjoy it. We will love it. You will own nothing. The guy is right. Okay, you may not like his agenda, but I got to tell you, with or without his agenda, that is absolutely the correct message. And when I put this on this 45-year-old investment banker guy, I was like, dude, you use your car 4% of the time. Then you build a building that cost fossil fuel to put it in a building and keep it nice, keep the rain off of it. So we use an asset 4% of the time, and then we build another asset and we put the thing that we don't use in it, and then we don't use it when we're using it the other 4%. I mean, pretty weird, dude. I mean, it's very wasteful the way we live. And so he's walking through. Hang tight. So I look at him, I went, hey, bro, when was the last time you turned anything off? And he's like, oh, wow, dude, that is like, I never turn anything off. I said, if the electricity was priced correctly at 11 p.m., you would turn the damn computer off, dude. And that's my way of explaining to everyone why I'm so convinced that we're going to a rental lease type market, a fractured market, because one, it's efficient. Why haven't we done this before? Because we didn't have the technology, man. We didn't have Uber. Okay. We didn't have an app. We didn't have a way to connect you and me and 126 other people. Like it wasn't possible, right? So now we have this hub, this virtual hub that brings everyone together for an effective marketplace. We're not going to go to the flea markets anymore. We are in a flea market. Okay, biggest market in the world right here. It's a virtual marketplace. You have to believe that at some point, this virtual marketplace, for it to operate the most efficiently in the best way, that we have one set of rules and everyone's doing the same thing. You cannot have a country fucking go, well, in this market center, yeah, for the next 3 months, we're going to make this shit illegal. Dude, it's a market center. You can't, like, all the rules are going to change. Man. The lawyers are going to have jobs forever here, dude, changing all these rules. We have to even probably go back and look at all our laws because they're set up for buying one share of stock or owning a Picasso. What if 10,000 people own a Picasso and that Picasso constantly traded? So I think this is going to be good, dude. It will save the real estate market. I mean, absolutely save the real estate market. And I'm convinced that's why Larry Fink's here.
Wade asked a question. He said, thoughts on SMR fission for base load, which is small modular reactors. Are you familiar with any of that tech? I am not.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people working on very small nukes. I've done no math on, I don't know anything about the economics. This again is another reason to price fuel correctly and energy correctly, because technology, technology is going to drive. We will have so much energy on this planet because we will need it, and we have engineering forever to figure this out. And we've already agreed that it's not like the energy prices are ridiculous. They're not ridiculous. Okay. These prices, you could double energy cost and control demand better. And I think we'd be better off.
This says SMRs typically generate up to 300 megawatts.
I don't know. Yeah. That's not a micro unit. So I don't know what the economics. Ask the guy what's all in cost of to be able to create a kilowatt. I can build coal-fired power stations for $20 a megawatt, 22, something like that. To build a nuclear power station takes longer, harder to get regulated, and I don't know what the microeconomics are. It's probably new technology, so it'll be expensive.
One of the comments says, "We have the technology for free energy." Do you believe that to be true?
I've heard these stories for years and years and years and years. I tend to be a bit of a conspiratist, so it's not hard for me to launch onto. If somebody did come up with a brilliant idea like that, I can understand why it would be difficult to get it into the market. The world is not really ready for that kind of change. I mean, let's just pretend like there's an inventor out here that's Mr. Perfect, or Tesla had the deal and they've hidden all the technology. Nikola Tesla, figured out how to pull energy from the ether. That's one of the discussion points, right? Hey, that was scrapped and killed. Then there's the guy with the water in the car, and then there's the guy that does it with air.
So you do know, okay?
Oh yeah, no, dude. I've been in the energy business a long, long time. I mean, you look at this kind of stuff, right? In fact, the guy that did the water was a Clearwater guy, I think, Florida. I've never seen any of these units work ever. And you guys that are saying this, just ask you one question. Have you ever seen or been in a car run on gas, run on nothing? I have not. Sounds cool. I reached out to the inventor once and said, bro, I'd like to meet you, drive in your car. Never heard anything back. And I was offering to help him, which is a little scary because I figured I was going to get assassinated. But I will say that if I did have that magic solution tomorrow, I don't think any of you guys would want me to unleash it, because I think you would see that it would be really problematic. I mean, we would have a jolt to the system that would be absolutely the most significant event you've ever seen in the world. And we may have to confront that at some point, right? Like, I think we're already kind of doing that, moving from analog to digital. The efficiencies. And we may not need all these modular nukes, okay? We actually may find ourselves in a position, if we can measure everything we do, that we will use it better, right? We will use it better. Like, I have 100 pins over here. If somebody, you probably looked at this, never had the balls to say it. Why do I have 100 pins? I only use one at a time. The most I could probably pick from these pins would be maybe 3 or 4. But I just keep stacking my little pins up, putting them in a little thing. It's just something I do, dude. But it is dumb as a bag of rocks, right? It is. You look at it and go, wow, he's got a lot of fucking pins all over the place. So, but then I have to acknowledge that and go, yeah, that's pretty inefficient. I guarantee you people have pins all over the place because they just do this. Hey, let's build another power station. Let's drill another hole. Let's use some more energy, man. I mean, dude, I was interrupted by the weather. I turned on a fucking generator here and powered a 14,000 square foot house, man. 5 AC units. I'm walking midnight. 3 of my units are down. I'm pissed off. Everybody else is in black, man, wet black. And I'm bitching that I've got light and one of my AC units is working, probably chewing up half a tank of propane. And I'm not trying to brag on that. I think people are driving to the grocery store, dude, for a bag of chewing gum. And that tells me gasoline's not priced correctly. No chance. I mean, quite frankly, I should just take an Uber everywhere. Like, this is pretty crazy, right? I go spend $100,000 on a car, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $50 on an Uber going to Tampa. And you start looking at it going, wow, how many Tampa trips do I make? What did I just say? I say call it $100,000 of cash on a car. 100,000 divided by $100. That's two ways. So let's do $200. That's 5,000 trips, man. I ain't gonna go to fucking Tampa in 4 years 5,000 times. No chance, dude. It's 22 miles. No chance in the next 4 years I do Tampa that many times. So it's really stupid for me to. And that $100,000, I could have bought Bitcoin with it. Okay, at 37 G's, and now it's at 70 or 65. So, it's starting to get expensive to have a car, right? Because I have options. I could literally get an Uber, and I could get more work done. And this is why I talk about the pencils and the stupidity, my little neuroses, because everyone has it. It's cool. But why do I do it? Because I like my little pencils and I just stack them up places, and it's weird. Okay. But fuck, is it weird, dude? Spending $100,000 so I can be in control of going to Tampa, maybe 30 times a year and back, call it 60. Oh, then I get the luxury of being able to find a parking space. Park. Then I can only have 1 or 2 drinks because, don't want to drive home, I mean, bro, why do I ever drive my fucking car? You see? And like when you really put it that way, in 5 years, my 16-year-old, Dad, I don't need to drive, dude. I just do Uber. I like sitting in the back. She's smart, man. She wants to be driven around all over the place. My first daughter, once she realized that she can't sit in the back anymore because she has a driver's license, she'd give her license up. She's like, fuck, dude, I like not driving. Dad, you drive. Right? So that whole generation, dude, they don't have anything on. They're going on a date and the boy feels like he's got to drive. Like when I was growing up, dude, I'm driving. I have a car. I'm a man. Right? That was a big deal. Now, God, my daughter picked up her first date because he didn't have a driver's license. And they don't care, man. They don't put anything on it. Uber would be fine with them. I think Uber has turned into a verb, and it turned into a verb 10 years ago. And the question is going to be, how active is that verb? It doesn't have to be about Uber, the car. It has to be about fractionalization and utilization of things, and we rent them. We don't buy them. Our whole 100 years being here, we just bought everything and put it in a storage unit. It's probably not very efficient, right? Probably not very efficient. That's why I say renting homes is a very, very efficient way of utilizing capital. Allocating capital for your family, still has a roof over your head. In fact, it gives you some security that a home doesn't do, because if that roof falls down, you don't have any insurance payments to do. All you got to do is leave, shoot off, and find another place to be protected by. If you own a house worth $800,000, it's kind of hard to leave there, right? Because you got to take care of it until the insurance guys show up 8 months later and pay you. The more I talk this through, if for any reason, even though there's 120 people on here, it really irritates me. I don't really understand this. But the benefit I get from just communicating out this thesis, this is literally what I do to go, oh shit, I need to go buy some more Bitcoin. Like because I'm literally debating myself. Hey, could this be wrong, man? I look at you and you're looking at it like, hey, why would I buy a car? That makes no sense, man. Other than ego. Seriously, okay. Other than control and ego, buying and owning these things is expensive. I think that's because they don't go up in value. And at the same time, when you walk through my house, you notice how many bookcases I have here? When I first came here, I said, okay, I got to fill up every bookcase. I started buying like, hey, give me a whole stack of encyclopedias. I don't understand why people don't buy books, man. I can buy them for like 10 cents on the dollar. And one day, if the power doesn't turn on, I have a lot of shit to read and learn from. I mean,
Make
really,
sure you have candles. Make sure you have
bro,
candles.
I have stuff in here like, look at some of the books, okay? How to fish, how to tie knots, how to build shit, how to do a garden, and all the great novels ever written, Bibles, encyclopedias. Dude, one day that stuff will be extremely valuable, but I'm buying it for cents on the dollar, right? And I just look at it and go, wow, that's the way to buy something. You buy it at rock bottom prices. You're not buying it brand new. And I mean, look at this little device, man. I bought this from Amazon yesterday. Okay, little thing. Like, we never imagined this stuff happening. We never thought that Gary Cardone would be spending $20 to support his iPhone in his fancy $100,000 car that he doesn't need, right? This came to me in 12 hours. How many of these do I need, man? Right? So this is a horrible example, but I think what I was trying to say was, whoa, when you connect everyone, and we're between a buyer's market and a rental market, there's a reason that all these BNFL things, all these payment terms to push payments out in the future, that's what they're trying to accomplish. See, they're trying to accomplish leasing, but they're doing it by locking the poor consumer into a contract he can't possibly perform under. And it's egregious under the interest rates and FTC. They're absolutely unclear. They're not concise, and they're not fair to the user because no user actually understands or can read the fucking documents. And like, so here's an example of where the new world, there aren't going to be 37 different agreements. It's going to be one agreement for all, for the same type of transaction. That'll make things a lot easier and more fluid, more volume, right? Because that's the only way you make up the margin collapse through this kind of efficiency is volume. So it's exciting, dude. It's like we'll have 20 or 30 years of building businesses, and there'll be all types of changes occurring. I don't actually remember a more exciting time in being an entrepreneur, being alive on this planet, to enjoy just a great adventure. If you're into adventures. Now, if you're not, you may not like this one.
Well, Gary, we got to get ready to wrap up.
Yeah. Okay. Any particular comments in here other than everybody needs to go out and be nice to someone today and not brag about it?
Yeah, and people in the comments are calling you the Don.
Pardon?
Yeah, they're calling you the Don.
Oh, Don Cardone. Me, your father was a very good man. All right, buddy, listen. Right. I'm going to go buy some Bitcoin because it's the fucking best reserve asset on the planet. when you mobsters need to liquidate something on a Saturday, call me. Okay. I got real liquid cash.
That's right. Guys, don't forget this evening, we're going to be doing a political spaces with Dennis Porter, who was live with us yesterday. We're having him again on our Twitter spaces at 5. You can go check out Gary's Twitter to see that. So we will see you this evening and then tomorrow morning as well.
Be strong, guys. Ciao.